So glad you could join us. I am with Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, a food and wine sommelier of the year. The group includes Where We Are, Blue Jacket Brewery, also the most recent addition to the NRG, Shopmade DC, that's in DuPont Circle, and then you've got Owen's Ordinary up in North Bethesda. Greg, it is always good to see you.
You too, bud.
What do we have on tap this week? A danger alert.
Yeah, this is a big beer that we have from one of our favorite breweries, The Bruery from Southern California. Great brewery. We've done many beers from them in the past.
They might be the most. I was just thinking that. I mean, close.
It'd be interesting.
They're definitely up in the top 3-5.
And it's funny. It fits right in with their operation, which is small batch, exotic, innovative, esoteric beers, lots of barrel aging, lots of excitement. And so they're constantly sounding them out, so we love to indulge. This one is very special. It's called Black Tuesday. The current vintage clocking in around 19.5% alcohol. It is a monster Imperial Stout that is aged in bourbon barrels. And
you have to eat it with a spoon. See, it doesn't. No, that's not true. Whoa.
Delicious, rich. Huge on the palate. 5 malts, plus wheat, plus rye, plus oats. This is a beer they've been brewing, I believe, since 2008 when the brewery began. A monster of a beer to make. I think it's 2,500 pounds of grain in a 15-barrel batch.
Wow.
They boil it for 4 hours to get lots of caramelization and toasty melanoidin flavors. It is a huge beer and really probably the most famous beer from the brewery's repertoire, and one that they built a lot of their reputation on. So the reason I specifically wanted to taste this beer today is to talk about a very cool new venture the brewery has started in DC. So, we talk about Red Apron Union Market, one of our places over in Union Market in DC.
Yeah.
Really cool place. So the brewery just opened what they're calling a fulfillment center in Union Market, to service sort of a retail shop for their beers, but also a place where you can pick up bottles if you happen to be one of the lucky people to be involved with their clubs. So they do all these cool bottle clubs, and it turns out that the people in the DMV here absolutely love big, huge barrel-aged beers, because outside of Southern California, we have the highest amount of people who are part of the brewery's clubs. So rather than having to have a friend in California mail you your bottle allocation every time, they decided to open a place here on the East Coast where if you're part of these clubs, you can come and pick it up. So they just opened. Black Tuesday is one of their most rare beers, and so I felt probably a cool thing to feature.
I mean, these guys are just revered by other brewers around the country, right?
Oh yeah.
Or maybe revered. I mean, admired.
Oh
definitely.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
and they've collaborated with some of the best. Patrick Roux, who started the brewery with his dad back in 2008, is a close friend. He was just in town for an event we did with him at the Sovereign. The cool thing is, what I always love talking about, nowadays people make 20% alcohol Imperial Stouts aged in bourbon barrels, and they've been doing that for a long time. But they started in 2008 with this, and they were one of the first ones, like Cigar City down in Florida, to realize there's some rare beers that people will go crazy for, will have big release days around them, but also develop these really cool online clubs where you can get access to these beers. And it's just a really cool thing, definitely ahead of their time.
Yeah, I mean, we only really scratch the surface with the 5-6 minutes we do every week. I mean, that club culture.
It's crazy.
It'd be so great to do something more extended on that. But so speaking of cigars, this would be great by the fire with a cigar probably. But what would you pair it with food-wise? Big
meats, of course. Duck, lamb, steak, as we always talk about. I think I mentioned this in the past. One of the cool flavor pairings I find with big Imperial Stouts are Middle Eastern flavors, like falafel, things that are earthy, hummus, baba ganoush, roasted eggplant, things like that I think are fantastic. Souvlaki, some Greek flavors really work nicely with this as well. And then I'm a huge fan, I think as everybody is nowadays, of ramen. And particularly I love tonkatsu ramen, which is that rich, thick pork-based ramen. It is incredible with bourbon barrel-aged stouts.
Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly. And be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.